Good afternoon and welcome to yet another edition of Press Hour, a program that examines issues discussed in the media during the week. And during this week, we learned that secured national identification systems are being implemented in Cameroon. The project was launched by the Minister Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, probably because they discovered some loopholes in the past identification systems. The anti-corruption dragnet was also at work and arrested 5 senior officials of a bank in Douala. The story made headline news in Cameroon. We also learned of ritual killings in Yaoundé, the troublesome neighborhood in which a man decided to kill his girlfriend and the girlfriend's mother. And the former Secretary General of the Social Democratic Front, the main opposition party in Cameroon, gave an account of what she called her stewardship with the party when she served the party in that capacity. We have here to discuss these issues and more with us, Chief Epoli Matthias, a super-skilled officer or legal advisor at the National Anti-Corruption Body, CONAC. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Probably the first time you're coming here.
It is indeed.
Okay, we really enjoy it. We also have Ndansi, Elvis, National Vice President of the Opposition Party, the National Union for Democracy and Progress. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, and it's once again my pleasure to be on this panel.
And I hope you're coming back with some added impetus following our stay with Barack Obama, the President of the United States of America, and those high dignitaries there.
It was an exciting moment, and I hope to share that experience with you here.
And also here is my colleague, Kininson of the Post newspaper. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dean. I'm happy once more to be part of this discussion on issues of great national import.
To set the ball rolling, we have Faith Ngong, who has a summary of what newspapers reported during the week.
We began this first review with the new reform to put in place more secured and durable identity cards. Cameroon Tribune says things will never be the same again as concerned the issue after a presidential decree signed on August 4th spelling out the documents to see through. The Guardian Post and other newspapers like Le Messager, Le Jour, Mutation have expressed hopes that the G-Malto officials fulfill their promise of making the new identity cards more secure and unfalsifiable. Lemo is the new approved mascot of the 2016 African Cup of Nations. Dressed in national colors, Cameroon Tribune hopes that she will bring luck to the Lionesses. The Guardian Post titles on President Biya's approval of the 2016 mascot but gives no details. Mazinga Mutation argued that Cameroon could have done more. Misappropriations of funds at the BSEC after the arrest of the former Assistant Director General and 3 suspects last Monday. Mutation, Le Messager, Cameroon Tribune, The Guardian Post say several other arrests are expected. The Guardian Post talks of SDF former SG Elizabeth Tamajon, who works for the party. She revisits her straight and brutal memories in a publication titled My Stewardship as SDF-SG. Opponents at the Cameroon Radio Television CRTV general debate as the English newspaper puts it that Anglophones have once more been robbed of juicy and strategic positions. The Guardian Post informs us that Cameroon's giant agro-industrial company Camel has got a new general manager in the name of Charles Mekanya. Until his appointment last Wednesday, he had acted as interim general manager. That's all we had in our kiosk for the press review. Stay tuned.
Yeah, Chief Epoli, you just followed what happened in Cameroon during the week. What particularly caught your attention there?
Well, it was all topical. The Douala incident, BSEC, the matters at Nicole Bisson, gruesome murders, the new identity card.
What about the murder in Corbison, for instance, because that is just close to us here in Yaoundé?
Well, not very long ago, these incidents were taking place in Ndansi, still in Yaoundé. And now they've shifted ground to Corbison. One fears that there must be a cabal somewhere.
Because some newspapers are saying that in Cameroon, appointments are expected. You start hearing people murdered here and there, maybe for ritual killings, you have positions of responsibility. That's what the paper says. You as an individual observer, what do you think about it?
I am not in a position to say whether that happens or not, but the word goes round. People try to use all means to get what they want.
Very unfortunate. But as far as this story is concerned, we got reports yesterday that the guy who killed the lady, a 40-year-old woman, and her mother had been arrested by the police. In fact, what the security is saying is that the guy took the girl out and did not agree, and he killed the girl. Of course, the mother knew that this guy was out with the girl. He went and killed the mother also to hide the information. That's for now what the forces of law and order are saying. But it's not unfortunate because it happened also at Mimuban. The government came and held a press conference, spoke about ritual killings in Yaoundé, said a commission of inquiry, but till today we're still waiting for the outcome. Ndansi, Elvis.
Yeah, I think it's a great concern each time a citizen is killed or murdered. And one of the things that puzzles me is the fact that it makes news when the person is murdered in cold blood. But there are lots of other people who die in other circumstances that are even worse than that, but because it's not violent and it's not in cold blood, that's why the media doesn't
For instance,
take the number of people who die in car accidents. When 17 people die on a road accident, and sometimes we do not sit here to really make it news because maybe we consider it's irregular. But when one person is murdered in a traumatic way, we want to make a lot of meaning out of it. The life of every citizen of Cameroon is important. When everyone dies, it is of great importance for the state to think that we are losing souls, people who are supposed to be contributing to the growth of the economy. And this particular case, I would want to first of all congratulate the forces of law and order for their promptitude in being able to lay hands on the suspect. This shows some level of performance because other cases have happened, and as you rightly said, commissions of inquiry have been set with no results. So I think we should be more reactive, more proactive than reactive, and it's also an awakening call for our security system to sit up, to watch out for these kinds of gruesome murder cases that is already getting rampant.
Can you just say that we give more importance, space in the newspapers, in the media houses, when there's a murder like this one, we forget about accidents. Is that true from your perspective?
It's not, well, I like to disagree with him a little because when an accident happens, I mean the media talks about it. But what I want to say, Moki, is that the ritual killings represent the physical emblems of a spiritually empty society that we are, because people want to get rich at all cost. The quest for self-aggrandizement, the quest for material aggrandizement is taking hold of our society. And more often than not, people tend to look at anybody who has amassed wealth, no matter the means, as a role model. That is where we have a problem. And that's where I'm talking about spiritual emptiness. That's where I'm talking about a situation where the rules of decency are not taken into consideration in anything. So you made mention of the fact that a commission of inquiry was promised. I know, of course, you have it on record that no commission of inquiry has ever worked in this country. They have always
made their results public. We cannot assume that it never worked.
No, what do you mean? The results are for who? For the public, right? If you go and do findings and you don't give it out to the public, because that information is to the public. When we talk about it is you and I. We need to know what has happened. So when an issue as important as ritual killings in Yaoundé take place in Ndansi, and now in Corbison, and nothing is said about it, nothing is done about it, it means that we are in for more serious issues in this country, especially when they talk about ritual killings. These are elements of darkness. And then it means that, of course, all of us are in danger.
Well, let's now move on to our focus. The first today is on the new and more secured national identification system that was launched over the week by the Minister, Secretary General of the President's Republic, Fernand Gongo, following instructions from President Paul Biya. Earlier on, the President decree spelled out the characteristics of the new ID card, stating that it is computerized, personalized, and containing a SIM card, which means it is possible to geolocalize its holders whenever they commit crime. Now, I'm telling you again, what do you think motivated the government of Cameroon to come out with another identification system which they think can be more performant than the previous ones?
Many reasons. One of the reasons I would think is that with the former identification system, it was possible to have several identity cards for one person. There's evidence to that effect. And if you have more than one identity card, then you are unidentifiable. In the present dispensation, it would be virtually impossible, at least as of now, because while you are making the laws and trying to apply them, the crooks are trying to move faster.
The same thing I told when the old one, that it is computerized, it cannot be falsified. What makes you think that this time around it is more difficult to falsify?
It is more difficult because it has a SIM card.
People are falsified, even the SIM cards are using with telephones.
Yes, it's more difficult. And it follows you throughout your life.
Okay, what do you think motivated the government of Cameroon to do this? And is it a laudable initiative?
Well, I'm always very happy each time there is an attempt to move for change to take place, because that's very fundamental. So first of all, it's a good thing that the government finds it necessary for improvement. And I look at this improvement first in the positive direction for the fact that there is going to be the uniqueness of the identification card, in the sense that you would be assigned a number for which that number stays yours, and each time, even if the cards get missing, you can have the same number, and even if it goes after the 10 years validity, if you come for renewal, you're going to be given the same number. That's important. Also, the fact that we are assured that these cards cannot be falsified, it's important too. We are being assured, so we need to be also careful to be also concerned that this assurance can also be muted by advancing technology, and we know exactly how much our youths of today are IT literate, and we should try to be sure that this claim is going to be true during implementation. Also, they say it concerns a SIM card that you can electronically be tracked. Your geo-position can be determined anywhere in the country. That's very important. But still imagining our system where our GPS system for geo-positioning is still very underdeveloped, and still to see how important we can be able to actually use the SIM card to track the geo-position of somebody. But another concern before I
continue coming to Ndansi Elvis. Now, can you inform, is the problem in Cameroon that of the identity card or documents you need before you apply the identity card? Are we not chasing the wrong house?
I have to come to that before Kine speaks, because
I want first of all to say, Dean, that as a Cameroonian, we should all be proud of the Cameroonian nationality. Before they started this one, it came to a level where anybody could acquire the Cameroonian nationality.
They also say,
yes, of course, security reports emerged from security reports that many Chadians, many Nigerians have the Cameroonian nationality.
They are either offered or they bought it. And the cases I'm talking about being offered, you have this reported that in the northern part of the country, for instance, people were offered the Cameroonian nationality before election.
Yes, before I come to that, I want to let you understand that for this thing to work, because we have some people, especially some of them who rule and reign this country at the same time, there are people who are so accursed with the double element of compromise and opportunism that they can auction the nationality of this country without blinking if they want to make a little personal gain. What I want to say that if they don't go back to those who issue civil status documents, to make pressure from that. There should be sensitization from that element, because if a foreigner is issued the birth certificate, of course with fake parents in Cameroon, that the person was born in Cameroon, the person will easily acquire the Cameroonian nationality. The person will acquire the ID card.
Exactly.
What I want to say, you were asking Ndansi what prompted government. I think government was really embarrassed by the number of foreigners they were having acquiring the Cameroonian nationality through the ID card. Remember that in the early 90s, I think about 10 years ago, there was a politician who complained that other politicians were recruiting foreigners and giving them the Cameroonian ID card to vote for them during elections and so on. I think that was a serious complaint. I thought that security operatives would have taken that seriously, but they came to pass when, of course, when they uncovered a lot of things while fighting against Boko Haram, because there were people with ID cards and they could not say where they were coming from which part of Cameroon. So this is a very laudable initiative from the President of the Republic, because I say the Cameroonian nationality should not be so cheap. The acquisition should not be so cheap that anybody can come and get it and pass around for a Cameroonian.
You are trying to add that it needed to be done from the base, not something from the middle top.
Yeah, I see some kind of procedures in the way the decrees have been signed. The first decree that was signed some months back was that creating a directorate in charge of civil status registry, for which I think someone was appointed to man that body, that organ. And I think it was an attempt to modernize our civil status registry. But you know, based on the issue of implementation in this country, since that organ was put in place, we are still to feel the impact of the change that we can boast that it has already started making as far as civil status registry in Cameroon is concerned. It starts right from the hospital. When a child is put to birth, the certification by the doctor that this child was born in this hospital on this date is important. That data has to be transferred to the civil status registry, and that is the source data Kenya is talking about. If this source data can be manipulated, then the entire process for identification...
If it is done that way, if it is done on computerized, they go to their ID card, they verify, they know this child was born here, they don't need to ask you to bring the birth certificate when 40. Exactly. We'll come back to Chief.
Yes, I was going to say that it's a package, and it's a very big package, and identification has bothered the head of state. The level at which the identification process was launched, you would say it was the Secretary General at the Presidency. It shows that it is a matter which is being considered at very high level. And it's a package in that there is a civil status identification system whereby you get the necessary documentation to be presented to the identity production service. So you get identified, properly identified, your documents are verified and validated, and then the final document is produced and handed over to you. So the civil status arm of it is being progressively modernized, but the work is being treated urgently because there is real urgency, especially with the insurgency we have in the northern part of the country.
But the fear also that some people have expressed is that it is man who manipulates those equipment. The computer is often said garbage in, garbage out. When somebody decides now to manipulate the information that is in that software and issue fake certificates, even though Cameroon wanted a smooth process.
It has to be known. It has to be known. None is at the beginning, none is at the end. What we want is Cameroonians with integrity. Of course. Greater integrity.
Where are we going to get them from? They don't have you got to see what children do go and ask children in primary school, what do we want to become tomorrow, to be tomorrow? Tell you want to be a customs officer, I want to be, I look at wealth, I look at the integrity you're talking about here. So far as they buy competitive exams to go to school, want to make money at all costs. So where do we start with this integrity?
That's one of the areas in which the National Anti-Corruption Commission is called upon to change the way Cameroonians look at things to change the way they understand integrity,
We shall come back to find out if that is what the national
and gradually
doing.
the change is taking place.
Let's leave the issue of the secured identity card and go to another issue.
Okay, you are giving the impression that there are no people of integrity in this.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I say a majority of Cameroonians are people of integrity as well as society, but the majority of Cameroonians that we see working, it's difficult to convince anybody that they are really people of integrity. It happens in all sectors of life. We have had internal reports coming saying today journalists are very corrupt, tomorrow teachers are very corrupt, customs are very corrupt, in all aspects of life. And you know where Cameroon has been. Transparency Internal Perception Index would have kept Cameroon. So I'm not giving an impression everybody is. I'm just simply saying it is a wish that everybody should have this integrity. I'll talk about the state budget. You know, the Interministerial Committee in charge of preparing the state budget has been meeting to prepare the 2017 budget. But our concern is the public investment budget. What directly concerns Cameroonians at the base, because from this budget they have roads constructed, hospitals built, and so on. Already 4 years to the end of the fiscal year, we said those projects are proposed. 4 months, sorry. 4 months to the end of the fiscal year. Those projects are proposed in your village. Did you find out to see whether they will be implemented? Government makes us believe it is our road to follow up.
Yes. I'm happy to say I come from Guti subdivision, Kupema division, and for about over 20 years, the Kumbamafe road has been a very serious problem. Work has started and it has gone quite far already, and it's in progress. It's all part of the investment budget. We're impressed there. There are other things that will come subsequently. The road linking Guti to Bangor, the divisional headquarters, and electrification, and others. But for now, our greatest nightmare is being brought down. Roads. We've been crying for roads for the past 20 years. Our first priority was roads, second priority roads, third priority roads.
Roads.
And now we're beginning to see the end of the tunnel, not the backward end.
The issue here, Elvis, is that the execution rate is still between 40 and 50%. In the south region, it's about 25%. What is the problem?
It all stems from the kind of system we have in Cameroon. I think despite the effort that is being made year after year to modernize our budgetary system, Cameroon still operates a presidential system of governance, where even at the level of drafting of the budget, much is being centralized and comes from the executive, and the attempts by the legislature to control this budget and to ensure its implementation is often undermined by those executive powers. And when you look at the way projects are given, even at the level of certain communities, it's always an attempt of politicians to please their electorate, sometimes with very little feasibility done. Another thing that is also causing this budget implementation a little bit very slow is because the government seems to be a very untrusted debtor, because most contractors have complaints that the banks no longer trust government projects. Most contractors, they go to borrow money to execute their project. The banks are like, these projects, you execute them, we're not going to get the money paid early enough. And so most contractors are really in deep shit for executing their contracts because they do not even have the finances. So sometimes what bothers us is whether before the budget is being drafted, because it's just a prediction of government spending. There is also a prediction of government's revenue. I don't know whether it's that the prediction of the spending always outweighs the prediction of the income, or why is it that the state is often finding it so difficult to pay its internal debts, to pay those who are executing this job, so that the rate of execution of public budget can be faster. Also, the attempts to put in the ministry in charge of public tender, which was like coming to solve a problem, seems to have come and made the problem worse, because the procedure, instead of being fast, is getting more and more slow every day. just to pass a public tender, it takes the turnaround time is too long. And at times
Is it an eyewitness experience you're talking about?
No, we monitor. I'm a civil society activist, and so I interact day to day with all those who are involved, and these are the complaints that you get from those who are involved, because one of the responsibilities of a politician is also to monitor why projects within his area are not being executed, and these are some of the kind of outcry you get. But I think that the legislature has a very important role to play when it comes to budget execution, and it's not just for parliamentarians once in a while to go to their subdivision, call contractors and just make an evaluation. There has to be a continuous monitoring. If there was
but there's a follow-up commission for the
follow-up commission for
and then the
regional level.
at divisional level. I'm not efficient.
Let me come.
Yes, just a point of order, if you don't mind. Since it's a point of order. Yeah, I'd appreciate it if while making presentations, we don't get the impression that we have statistics. For instance, if you say most people do this, it means over 50%, and it means you have statistics. And I don't think in most of those instances that we have the statistics. Because otherwise, we would say over 50%, over 75%. Agreed. You know, there are a lot of failings. There are many people who don't do their work. Very many.
Justice.
And that's why
in the South region, for instance, the statistics are there very clear. 25% of the projects have been executed. So
yes,
which means there's a difference here.
No, it's when we say most business people, most banks.
We are talking about what we see. Justice. We are talking about. Perhaps you'll be very comfortable with the word many. Yes, but in the same way, semantics. We are playing with semantics, of course.
Semantics.
And we are very passionate on issues.
Fundamental.
We are very passionate about an issue that has stalled development in this country for decades. It is very difficult, Moki, believe me, that it's very difficult. It is difficult to do budget tracking. I mean, as a reporter, it's very difficult. Access to information and all of that. But what Ndansi was talking about here can be summarized into three major issues. Why the slow pace of execution of the public investment budget? Corruption, administrative bottlenecks, and inertia. And there are many people, as you said, many people in these high places are so averse to the rules of decency that when they don't see their immediate interest, they don't act. Otherwise, what we do expect, let me tell you that we are now in the month of August. Mid-August, the budget for some of these projects are not yet there. And we expect to render an account at the end of the year. So it is year in, year out, and there has been procrastination about certain projects that are going to be executed and so on.
Some have been abandoned and so on. What is initial, what is trying to talk about?
That's it. And as an ordinary Cameroonian, take away the journalist in me. As an ordinary Cameroonian, when I'm going to Banenda, and the Baba Banenda Road is not done, and you have potholes there that have degenerated to yawning craters, I will not believe that anything is being done because it concerns me directly. If you get to certain constituencies where if you have the elements to do budget tracking, you discover that we are bouncing on one position. I don't even believe they're talking about 40%. Well, I've not done any independent investigations, but I think that 40% is really much because really we are still on one position as far as the public investment is concerned.
I think I agree. No, we are 1%. I know at least some classrooms have been constructed from the public investment budget. I know toilets and
I'm saying that we are not better than last year. Well, that's what I mean.
I think it's very frustrating. And very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Especially you as somebody who's been a judge, you've been observed, what can be the way forward? Are the law courts failing? is a punishment enough to stop people, to make people sit up and do what they're supposed to do?
The system of sanctions is only gradually being implemented. Up until now, many contractors didn't do their job or did the job badly and were paid off. And when there was evidence to that effect, little or nothing was done, either to the officials who had certified the jobs or to the contractors who had failed to do the work, to execute. But now, we are all aware, in fact, it's you, the journalists, even who are bringing it to our attention, that the ministers who are responsible for those matters have taken a different stand. They are no longer prepared to listen to excuses. And many contracts have been suspended, and things are going on, things are moving. But we need to do much more, and it concerns everybody. That's why we call on the citizens to always denounce. Let them denounce.
If at all they will be protected, one thing denouncing, today you go and say this is a contractor, tomorrow the policeman meets the contractor and is the guy who's arrested because he denounced. We hope things change, as you said, and gentlemen, but our main topic today is that of corruption, and that's why I'm happy with the chair of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, Dr. Dino Masgam, so sending you here, Mr. Poli Matthias, to talk about this thing, because during the week we gathered that in a trial on Brown Court, former deputy GM of BSEC, and 3 others were picked up and detained at the Newburgh prison for embezzlement, for contributing in the embezzlement of over 50 billion civil funds. Please, Elvis, what talking you should be calculating how many classrooms have been embezzled. At the same time, the Ministry of Secondary Education has called up over 350 teachers who have transfer decisions that the minister himself doesn't know how they came about. The minister is supposed to sign the transfers, and at the same time the Minister of Secondary Education is trying to dismantle a network of people who are there in corrupt practices, selling positions and so on. What has been the input of the National Anti-Corruption Commission in all of this?
Thank you very much for the summary. I'm overjoyed to hear that the actions being taken to clean the economic space, the administrative space, the financial space of the Republic is acknowledged. There are changes, just as you said. Has it ever happened before that the Minister of Education verifies transfers? It's beginning to happen. Even going to the arrests in Douala, so far there have been untouchables. No one is an untouchable any longer in the Republic. Talking about the National Anti-Corruption Commission, well, it was set up to contribute as an independent agency, to contribute to the fight against corruption. Contribute. Because there are other agencies, there are other institutions of state, and the fight against corruption is not only left to the institutions of state, it is a general preoccupation of and responsibility of every citizen.
Now, before we get there, you're now in quotes claiming that people are coming up, which means you're taking the credit to the National Anti-Corruption Commission, if I understood you well.
I'm taking the credit for the fight against corruption, which is carried out on all fronts. Where they are. They are part of it.
Which means they're now listening to you. Ndansi, Elvis, are you not listening to Connect? Do you think they're doing their job as they're supposed to do?
First, I would thank them for being able to uncover the corruption cases that we've had of recent, and CONAC has become that emblem that when a corrupt official hears the name, he panics. So that first of all scares those who want to corrupt. When they hear CONAC is behind somebody, you know he's having sleepless nights. So that's first of all a good aspect of CONAC. But also, corruption to me is an outcome. Corruption is a reflection of a country's economic, a country's cultural and a country's political institutions. And one of my concerns with the actions of CONAC is the fact that they are fighting corruption, actually looking at it from the action committed already, rather than looking at preventing it from being committed.
Why do you take a long time for the money to be invested?
Why is it that it takes a long time for people to amass 50,000 classrooms? I just did the calculation as you asked me to do. Well, that's about 50 billion fine because a classroom takes an average of 10 million. Why would they allow that such a time for someone to embezzle that money and then they come up to arrest people? Why would they allow such a time for an authority to amass so much money before they come in? It means that initially CONAC is not looking at trying to come up with those indicators of corruption and trying to fight corruption from its origin such that it doesn't occur, first of all, which means that the action of CONAC is not limited to fetching those who have corrupted already. But the action of CONAC is also supposed to be trying to institute within different organs, different institutions.
All ministries, I didn't want to come talk about it. Yes,
Ndansi, I'm not holding briefs for CONAC. I think that they have done quite a lot at the level of preventing corruption, because they have gone down to the various segments of the society, talking about pillars of integrity, talking about the shock program.
Sure.
Change habits, oppose corruption. I think at that level they are doing a lot of prevention. But CONAC, if I put CONAC in the dock to question them about why they have not gone the whole gamut of fighting against corruption, CONAC will be guilty for one reason, because the fight against corruption is not wholly in the hands of CONAC. CONAC needs to be empowered. I say empowered to have the magnitude of an organization like the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of Nigeria, which means that you don't limit your responsibility only to investigating and of course naming names of those who are corrupt suspects. You also have the responsibility to drag them to court for prosecution. This is what CONAC does not have. At the level of CONAC, that is where sometimes people question the authorities that if they really have the full political will to fight corruption in this country. At the level of CONAC does not have financial autonomy. And these are the issues that will make CONAC really stand out in fighting corruption. Another thing is that CONAC is the coordinator of all, the CONAC is the one steering the fight against corruption in this country. So every other organization like ANIF, the National Financial Investigation Agency, is supposed to be under CONAC. The audit bench on the Supreme Court is under CONAC. And I was also made to understand that these people don't have enough means. You know that during the launching of the report of the audit bench, and that was on July 17, there was a complaint that the budget of that organization, that very important organization that is supposed to fight corruption, was slashed by more than half, from more than 1 billion to a little over 500,000. Now, which means, let me come. That is where I'm telling you that you need to push. I mean, there are laws from the initiative of SHOCK project. CONAC submitted something like a bill for a law on corruption. The proposed law, and then today is still there. And then when we are talking about preventing corruption, where is the law that Parliament voted since 2006? The Article 66 of the Constitution. So these are issues that we have to put together to evaluate the fight against corruption in this country.
Just ask CONAC seated here right now, what is happening to Article 66 of the Constitution?
It is not CONAC.
You are aware.
No, they're following up the fight.
Yes, you are aware that the law has been passed the structure has not been set up to implement Article 66. And CONAC has made its own representations in that respect. And all the members of the National Coalition are aware of that. The National Coalition for the Fight Against Corruption, which includes the civil society. The CONAC has done its part and is waiting for others to do their part. Lobbying can take place by other citizens in order to make parliamentarians take, decisions, in order to make government take decisions. That's how it happens.
Now, there's something now,
yes.
there's something that some raise here.